Well, howdy folks. Welcome to the PNW Vibe YouTube channel. Today, we got a little bit of a weird project going on, but that's okay. More on that later. All we really need is a piece of 5/8 plywood and a piece of 1/4-inch plywood. So we're gonna start by cutting our 5/8 plywood into 4-inch strips. Or if you wanna save yourself a step down the road, you can actually cut it into 3 and 15/16 strips, but you'll see what I'm talking about later. So with our strips cut, we can head over to the cross-cut sled and cross-cut them down to size. We need 2 pieces that are 5 1/8 inch long, and we need 2 pieces that are 20 1/2 inches long. So let's go ahead and cut those. Alrighty, now with all of our pieces cut, I'm just gonna make a reference mark on all of these. I'm gonna pick a side that I like the best. I'll make a reference mark across all of them. So that way when I'm cutting my finger joints, I can make sure to reference this side every single time to keep them all exactly the same. Alrighty, so I made a few test cuts. So this right here is my final product. That's what I was able to come up with. And as you can see, there's quite a bit of tear out. So in order to try to combat that tear out, I wrapped the ends of all my pieces in painter's tape, and I just did a wrap all the way around them. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go back through and cut with a razor knife, get this little wrap right here off of each end, because this little teeny tiny bit might be just enough of extra material right there to throw off my entire box joint, and I really don't wanna do that. These are my final cut pieces and I don't wanna mess them up. But if that doesn't take care of all of it, what I'm gonna do is I got my box laid out roughly with my faces that I want to be outside, facing outside, and I got my reference marks that I made on the board earlier all facing upward. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna draw a little arrow pointing inside on each one of these, and then when I'm making my cut, I'll just hold that face towards me on the table saw, so that way the tear out stays on that side. And then when I assemble the box, I'll have these faces on the inside, so they'll be somewhat hidden. Alrighty, got all my boards ready to go. Ain't nothing left to it but to do it, so let's start cutting. Got my reference mark facing my peg here, and then my arrow facing me. So yeah, I wanted to practice my box joints, but I wanted to kill a bird with 2 stones, as they say. So these tinfoil boxes, they suck. I've gone through too many of them. Twice now, I've ruined the box before the roll of tinfoil was done and ended up having to cut more than half of a roll of tinfoil with scissors like an absolute caveman. I mean, I'm over it, and I'm ready to build a better tinfoil box. So let's do that. All right, got everything cut. Now it's time to see how they all fit. We have a tiny bit of extra on each one of these, so I'm just gonna run them all through the table saw and trim off that little sliver right there, and then that little bit of extra that got shaved off here on that very last pass. So, real quick, let's just see how these all fit together. Alrighty, hell yeah, man, that fits together pretty good. The gaps aren't terrible. However, looks like my blade depth was set just a butt hair too deep. So I'll have a little bit of these to contend with, but I should just be able to scrape that down with a nice little chisel and then hit it with a sander, and that should be nice and butter smooth. I'm actually gonna deal with this little bit of extra that you see right here. There was a tiny little sliver of wood right here that broke off on the last pass, and then you can see right here on the male side there's just a little bit of an indentation. So I'm gonna run this side on all the pieces by this dado stack here. I could just change it back to my normal blade, but I don't really wanna do that. So I'm gonna just go ahead and raise this blade up, and then I'm gonna run these boards all by this blade here and clean up that little piece there. So like I said in the beginning, if you cut your boards down to 3 15/16, you will not have to deal with that little bit of extra, and you could skip this entire step. That should work beautifully. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna run this blade down to about half the thickness of my board. And I already have this dado stack set to 1/4 inch for the thickness of my bottom. My bottom is a lot thicker than 1/4 inch. So I'm just gonna carve out a little notch here for the bottom of my box. Here we go. Break it back down. And then we'll set our fence to where our workpiece is just flush with the edge of the blade here. Blades changed, we need 113 millimeters. I'm gonna do my best to just roughly transfer it from my caliper to the saw here. And that looks pretty darn good to me. And we're looking pretty much spot on. So we're gonna go with that. Look at that, perfect fit. Now all we need to do is cut it down to length. Looks pretty good. All right, now we'll go ahead and get these joints glued up. Switch out our roundover bit for this, what my set calls a Roman edge bit. And I'm gonna put a nice little pretty edge around this thing. That looks absolutely horrendous. We're not doing that. First, like you saw there in the video, I wanted to use one of these slider things. I thought that'd be cool. Didn't really work. It wasn't even as long as as wide as the roll of tin foil, and it kind of just bunched it up, so stupid. I ended up in the end just stacking 2 pieces of 1/4 inch plywood on top of each other, putting a small bead of glue in there, and then brad nailing them into the top here. And then I super glued the little, I don't know, saw cutter piece that I cut out of this Kirkland box right here, and that is what made up my little cutter, and it works great. So the only thing left is B-roll.
Call me Bucky, lucky that I'm innocent. If I didn't have no morals, I'd be menacing. How about nigga rapping conscious but he ignorant? How you find the hood but still gon' go legitimate?
All right, that's about enough of that, don't you think? Well, that does it for today's episode of Guy with Tools Makes a Thing. Hey, if you like this video, don't forget to hit that like button. And head on over to my channel and check out some of my older videos. And if you like what you see, consider hitting that subscribe button too. All right, folks, thanks for watching this one. We'll see you in the next one.